I already know this video is not going to get probably more than 10 views, but I still have to make it anyway. I still feel compelled to share the information. And if you're watching this and you have a YouTube channel, you are on social media and you have the ability to share information, share it or make your own video and share the information, especially if you're somebody that lives here in the Las Vegas Valley, where we've been put on restrictions for water use. And Lake Mead is supposedly reaching almost Deadpool status. Um, you know, this whole thing with the data centers is, I mean, it's interesting, right? And there's all kinds of information, and there was plenty of people that stepped up to, you know, oppose this supposed expansion that was, unanimously approved by the Clark County Zoning Commission of the Switch Data Center. And it's located over here, all the way over on the southwest side of the valley. We're over here in Henderson, and there is a data center, a Google data center over here by us. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. But I just wanted to point out and show y'all that, this data center that's over here, this Switch data center on the west side of the valley. I mean, there's housing all the way around it. Switch Las Vegas, and they claim that they use a closed loop system. They're only going to be using 1,000 gallons of water a day, blah, 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 blah. And they're planning on expanding it. But look at all of the housing. Look at all of the people around it. Why do they have to do that here? Let me just zoom out here and show you the valley, okay? Why do they have to put it right in the middle, right in the heart of these neighborhoods when there is all of this? Look at all of this. Look at all of this empty freaking land out here and around Las Vegas that they could put some of these data centers and shit in, but they got to put it right in the heart of a neighborhood here, surrounded by housing, residential housing. Why? I don't understand that aspect of it, because we have so much land available out here. There's where they could put these things. It makes no sense to me why they would have to put it right in the heart of a city, right in the heart of a neighborhood. And like I said, they unanimously approved it, despite the fact that only a dozen or so people, I guess, more than a dozen residents spoke against the expansion, citing concerns over environmental impact, energy consumption, strain on the electric grid, and water resources. Some called for stricter regulations and urged the county to prioritize community needs over corporate interests, which they don't give a shit. Okay? They really don't care. They're just going to continue doing what they want to do, where they want to do it, and for whatever cost, at whatever cost. It doesn't matter. Okay? They obviously have an agenda that they want to meet, and they're going to do it regardless of what any of the people think. So, it just doesn't make much sense to me. I don't understand it. There's already been environmental impact statements and things released on these data centers. But, those aren't available to the public, of course, but these people on the inside know the impact that these data centers are having on people and on the environment, okay, and on resources, okay? They already know. But they're, like I said, they're going to move forward. They don't care, y'all. They just don't care, okay? But one thing that I want to point out with this is, there seems to be a depletion in Reaper drones since this whole Operation Epic Fury thing went down. It depleted our drone, inventory. So, recognizing the platform's continued importance, the Senate Armed Services Committee included provisions related to the MQ-9 in the fiscal year 2027 National Defense Authorization Act, which was approved on June 11, 2026, just a week or so ago. The legislation directs the Secretary of the Air Force to limit further divestment of the MQ-9 aircraft, provide reports and briefings on the fleet status, and take steps to increase inventory levels by 2028. They want to increase their fleet, their MQ-9 Reaper drone fleet, right? Okay, I understand that. I have no problem with that. Do what you got to do, whatever. But this whole thing with these data centers is interesting to me because, I watched a movie the other day called Eye in the Sky. And there's this particular scene right here. After they've already hit their target, and in the movie, they play off this sympathy thing where where a little girl was unalived because of their strike and blah, blah, blah. The whole movie is kind of pitted around this whole thing where we should sympathize with these, people because, we're creating these casualties, right? And I'm not going to get into all of that because I have my own opinion on our defense and on our military. I'm not anti-defense. I'm not anti-military. I believe we need to do what we need to do to protect our country and to protect our civilians and protect the people here in our country. I understand all of that. But one thing that I wanted to just point out here, okay, they have these cockpits for these Reaper drones, right? And it's basically like a container. It's basically like a shipping container. You can see them coming out here. A, basically like a shipping container. Okay, that's what these pilots, and it's usually two pilots that operate these drones. Okay, and they're in these air cooled container systems. All right, now let me just go over here on our map here of the valley. And again, we're down here in Henderson, and this here was the Google data center that was put up quite a while ago. Quite a while ago. Okay. And they say it's a Google data center. Google Data Center, Henderson, Nevada. This building here says 560. This one down here says 540. But when I look at this, after watching that movie and then looking into a little bit of information about what it takes to operate these Reaper drone systems that they're expanding the fleet on, by the way, okay, what does this look like? They claim it's just a Google data center, right? Just being used for AI so that we can have all of this wonderful AI shit, which myself personally, I don't want it. I don't need it. I don't want it. Okay. AI is making people stupid. It's taking away their ability to think critically and to be able to logically discern information. The AI is dumbing down our youth. The AI is going to make us turn us into idiocracy. Okay, which I'm assuming that's probably what they want. Well, let's just look at this Google data center here, okay? And I'm guessing they're going to be expanding it, I'm sure. I'm almost positive of it, especially if they're going to be increasing the fleet, right? But just look at this. They claim this is just a Google data center, right? But look at this. Look at these. What does that look like to y'all? Each one of these units has their own, AC cooling system here. Each one of these buildings right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of them here, all lined up in a row. 10 little pretty maids all lined up in a row, all with their own private air conditioned systems, air cooling systems. I mean, is this really a Google data center? Because, you know, when I look at this, you know, is this really just a Google data center? Or are these serving another purpose? Each one of these buildings has its own climate controlled system here. They have their own little power plant and everything. I mean, this is quite an elaborate Google data center, right? And, I'm not trying to give away any secrets or anything like that, but is this really just a Google data center? Or are these serving a different purpose? You know, I don't have the resources to go over here. This isn't that far away from where we're at. We're just over here in Henderson. It's not very far away, but if I had the resources, I would love to just kind of monitor this and see, monitor these entrances and see how many people really work at these places and who's coming and going, just for shits and giggles, because they're really not giving us a whole lot of information about it. And I myself personally, I don't think this is just a Google data center. I really don't. I really do not. It just there's so much going on, y'all, that it's really hard to pick and choose the battles nowadays. Everybody has a choice. Pick your battle and fight it, right? And just exposing a lot of this for me and sharing this video with y'all and my thoughts on what is really going on with these data centers is kind of like therapy, I guess you could say. I mean, but I just, it's frustrating, y'all. It's even more so frustrating because I'm seeing more and more things happening in the skies around here. And I try to record things and I try to do videos and I try to share information, but I'm getting like blocked on so many different levels. And like I said at the beginning of this video, and then I'm going to say again because I'm repetitive, this video is probably not going to get very many views, but I'm still going to try to share it, you know? And it's not because I'm just, so full of myself and that I value my opinion above everyone else's and I just have to share my opinion. It's because it's information that I really feel that people need to know and people need to understand exactly what is going on. We have a right to know this shit. All right. And while they have everybody distracted with these big sports events going on and shit, it's just, I watch those videos of people attending those events like that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, how can there be so many people? How can there be so many people that are just so into all of these sports things that really, to me, I don't see the value in it. I don't see the value in all of these big sporting events. And I think it's ridiculous that some of these, sports people and these athletes are getting paid so much freaking money. I mean, I saw an article the other day about Patrick Mahomes is getting 500 million or some kind of shit like that. These people are only getting paid this much money when it comes to professional athletes in these bigger sports complexes in the sports industry. These athletes that are getting paid so much money, and all of these actors and actresses from Hollywood that are getting paid so much money, they're not getting paid all of that money because they add value to society. They're getting paid all that money to keep their freaking mouth shut because they know that all of this shit is fixed. They know that these sports and games and shit are all rigged and fixed. The NFL is fixed, y'all. Okay? And you can sit there and you can say that's a matter of opinion all you want. Whatever. I'll accept that. It's my opinion. These sporting events and these, games are rigged. They're all rigged. They already know the outcome. They already know who's going to win, especially when it comes to the World Cup. They already know who's going to win the World Cup. You can sit there and spend your time enjoying your life and enjoying your sports events and all of that. But all of this other stuff that's going on in the background around you it's gonna come up in your face one day. And you're gonna wish that you knew. You're gonna wish that you had a heads up on it. I guarantee you will. This is not just a Google data center. I'm just saying. And the fact that Clark County just unanimously approved the expansion of this data center that's all right in the heart of a freaking neighborhood. I lost it on the map now, darn it. Hang on a minute. Because I gotta show it again because that's just the way I am. Let me put this in here. Switch Las Vegas. The core campus. There it is. The core campus. And what does it have on the building? A big 8. Big old 33 right there, right? Right in the heart of a residential neighborhood, and they're expanding it. Why couldn't they go out and around? Why can't they put it out and around? Why do they have to put it right in the heart of a neighborhood? Why? Maybe it's because it's a target, and maybe anybody that would be trying to target it or something, an adversary, might think twice because it's in a residential neighborhood. No, they won't. No, they won't. You can't hide these high value targets in the middle of our freaking neighborhoods. Telling y'all, there's so much. And that whole RAPE gang report inquiry thing that came up, I've read through about half of that now, and that is some disturbing shit. And you think people care about stuff like that? They just don't. They just don't. That's frustrating. It's really frustrating, y'all. And if you've made it this far into the video, thank you for sitting and listening to me rant. And I appreciate you. And like I said, if you don't want to share this video on your platforms and the platforms that you interact with, do your own video and share the information, because I don't think these data centers are what they say they are. And it's really frustrating because we're supposed to be reaching damn near Deadpool status over here at Lake Mead, and we're running out of water, so much so that they've already put water restrictions on us residents here in Henderson. They've outlawed grass, for Christ's sakes. And they're putting up more and more and more housing as well at a time when we're supposedly in a water shortage. Okay, where our water resource is at a critical level, that they're declaring these emergencies because we're in a water crisis and a severe drought. Okay, we're already hitting the 110-degree days, y'all. They're already cooking and baking us alive, and these data centers are making it worse. They're not helping the situation, and I don't understand it. Other than they've got an agenda that they have to meet, and they don't care. They just simply do not care about the human population because they have their AI, right? All right. I have to digress because I can already feel my blood pressure rising, y'all. Stay safe, stay mindful, and know that I appreciate you and that you matter very much to me. And it matters very much to me that you stay safe and you stay mindful.